Hi, everybody. Jim Graham here for Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. On the line, we have a special guest joining us. She is the Invicta Atomweight champion, Miss Michelle Waterson. Michelle, thanks for coming on Beyond the Cage.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, of course, we just had summer end and fall is upon us, but how was your summer, Michelle?
It was great. It was nice to be able to have a camp in front of me and get ready for a fight.
Now, did you do anything special away from training? Did you go on vacation or do anything cool?
I did a bikini contest, like the fitness show. I also did American Ninja Warrior. And outside of that, not really.
Now, when you're not doing MMA, what do you like to do for fun?
We spend a lot of time with our daughter, and we go to the park and go hiking and stuff like that. Do crafts at home here with her. Just try to enjoy like the little moments with her, you know.
Right, absolutely. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the Ultimate Fighter this season, the first all-female cast. A UFC champion will be crowned at 115 pounds for the female division. And I was wondering, have you been able to watch any of this season at all?
Oh, yeah. We wouldn't miss it. We don't miss a show. We're excited for all those girls. And like I said, I'm excited for all those girls. We don't miss a show. It's a very entertaining show, and I'm excited that UFC is bringing on the 115 division, and, you know, hopefully they just continue to grow and add more divisions to the UFC.
Now, when you've watched a couple episodes before, we had the one big upset with Ronda Marcos over Tisha Torres. We also have had Joanne Calderwood fight on the show as well, and then, of course, the girl you've already beat in Jessica Penne, she was on the show. Just kind of what you've thought so far of some of the fights on the season.
I think the girls are representing the division real well. A lot of the girls have good scrambles, both in the stand-up and on the ground and against the cage. It just goes to show you that in MMA, you have to be prepared everywhere. You can't just come into the sport with one type of martial art background. You have to be pretty well-rounded, and I think that the girls are doing a great job at representing the division.
Now, with the UFC adding the 115, have you yourself thought about moving up to 115, or do you like where you're at 105? This all has passed my head here and there, but I do feel like there's a lot of things that I still need to accomplish in the 105 division, and I have to be patient and understand that just right now it's that my time is with Invicta, and I'm also enjoying Invicta. They've done nothing but great things for me, and so I don't mind staying loyal to them because they've done great things for me. Now, do you really have to watch your weight at all trying to make it down to 105, or is that something that comes pretty easy for you?
I get it pretty heavy, but it's not a bad heavy. I was able to put on some good muscle on my my year and a half break. But at the end of the day, it's just a matter of making weight, and the struggle of doing that is kind of, for me, part of the something that you have to do to prepare yourself for the fight is, make weight,
Now, of course, you had the long layoff before you fought at Invicta 8 to defend your championship, and once you stepped into the cage, how good did it feel to be fighting again after all that time away?
Oh, it was the best feeling in the world. When you're out of the cage for that long, I think you start, your mind starts to play tricks on you, and you start to doubt your abilities, and you start to question
your career, and just to get in there and actually, let the punches fly and do what I love to do, and to know that it's something, that I didn't lose is a good feeling.
Now, one of the reasons for your layoff away from Invicta was Invicta trying to work and get a new television deal, and the deal they ended up getting was with the UFC Fight Pass. And I was wondering, what do you think about Invicta being on the UFC Fight Pass?
I think it's a great partnership. I know Shannon is working really hard to make the best decisions for her athletes and the organization, and I think that the UFC is the best direction to go. And now I feel like we have kind of an older brother kind of looking over our shoulders and making sure that we can do it. That's to be successful.
Now, for your fight at Invicta 8, in my opinion, I thought you had a very awesome walkout shirt that had a cartoon likeness of yourself on it from Americana. And I was wondering, did you have a hand in that design at all, or did they just come up with that and say, hey, here it is?
I did not have a hand in it. I kind of said, maybe we'll do something with the Karate Hottie, and they came up with that pretty cool design, so it's pretty awesome.
Now, I also saw on their Facebook page for Americana that you're going to do a seminar with them up in Canada coming up here soon?
I know we're trying to do that, so it really depends on if they're able to bring me out. I know Americana right now is going through a transition themselves, so might have to push the seminar back to a later date, but still not sure yet.
Now, looking at your fight at Invicta 8 against Tamada, was the game plan mostly to keep that fight standing and try to overwhelm her with a different combination of strikes?
Yes, definitely. We knew that Tamada is kind of a pressure fighter against the cage and on the ground. And I just think for me and my strategy, the best thing for me to do was to try to keep it standing, and I also wanted to show people that I do have some type of stand up and also wrestling defense, and these are the things that I really worked hard on while I was away, and I kind of wanted to display some of that in the fight.
Jim Graham talking with Invicta FC atomweight champion Michelle Waterson, the Karate Hottie. You can follow her on Twitter at Karate Hottie MMA. And in your fight against Tamada, eventually you were able to get a finish there, but were you surprised that she was able to last as long as she did? I mean, you were just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at her before you were finally able to get the finish.
Well, in a way I was surprised, but in a way not. She's been fighting for a very long time. She's a veteran of the sport. And a lot of, Japanese fighters have that samurai warrior spirit, and, they just they choose not to go down, and it's in their, it's in their blood not to give up, not to surrender ever, and she's super tough, and it was a goal of mine to try to finish her because she had never had a finish. And, it was probably somewhere in the middle of the second round where Coach Jackson and Coach Wink were telling me to slow down and start pacing myself because, I think they could see it as well that it might be a long night. And so, we did prepare ourselves to go all 5 rounds, and, I'm glad that it ended the way it did.
All right, let's get off of Invicta 8 and let's look forward to what may be your next fight. Is there anyone that you're maybe trying to eye and look at and see and call up Julie Kedzie and be like, hey, this is who I want to fight next?
No, I kind of feel like in the position I am now, they kind of just have to I have to kind of take whoever they give me, and I feel like everybody in the division is somebody that I have to keep an eye on, because I know that everybody's gunning for the belt.
So I think it's just more importantly for me to just stay on my A game and continue to improve my skills.
Now, on Invicta 8, there were a host of other great fights before we got to your fight being the main event. What were some of the other fights that you liked that were happening at the event there a couple weeks ago?
It's kind of hard to watch and stay in the zone, but before I kind of went into the zone, I got to watch my teammate Jody Escobar and Jen Yufei fight, and it was a very exciting fight, and I'm glad also with the results of that fight because, you know, Jody really had to pull herself out of some deep water in that first round after that head kick, and Jen trying to finish her with the submission, and I'm really happy for Jody because, you know, she fought out of that, and then she came back strong, and it kind of for me it was good to see a teammate win in that fashion.
Now, just last week, Invicta announced Invicta 9 for November 1st from Iowa. It will be highlighted by Barb Honchak trying to defend her flyweight title, and I was wondering if you've seen any of the card and what do you think about Invicta 9 coming up here?
I haven't. I kind of just been busy spending time with my family and stuff like that. But I know that that Barb is headlining the show, and you know, when I get some time, I'd like to go and check out the rest of the roster. And I'm excited. It's cool that the card's going to be outside of Kansas City, even though Kansas City is a great place, and it's hosted all of you know, our stuff beforehand. But it's nice to see that we're kind of expanding our horizons, and Invicta doesn't ever put on a boring show. So
now with them going to Iowa, and I know Barb Honchak does have some ties to the state of Iowa, do you think maybe then Invicta can get you a fight in your neck of the woods there in Albuquerque?
Yeah, no doubt in my mind that Shannon would want to do that. So it'll be fun, you know. Albuquerque's a fight town, and we have lots of female fighters out here in Albuquerque. So I think that would be a good idea for Invicta to do.
Now, along with Invicta 9, they announced that they're going to have Invicta 10 in December, and as of right now, highlighted by Cyborg dropping down to 135. What do you think about her dropping down 10 pounds?
I think it's very ambitious of her, and, you know, I think when Cyborg has a goal in mind, she goes for it, and it's cool to see a female fighter just go after things the way she does, and I look forward to seeing her fight at 135. I thought she was a really lean 145 fighter, and so it'll be interesting to see her at 135 and see if that takes away from some of her strength, because I know, you know, her strength is her power, and sometimes when people cut down, they lose some of that. So it'll be interesting to see. But then, you know, Cyborg is an inspiration, and if she has, you know, a goal to do something, she's going to do it, and I think that's good for, you know, fans all over the world to see that, you know.
Now, with Invicta 10 being in December and not really like a title fight so far named, is that a fight that you're trying to maybe get on that card for December to fight one more time here before 2014's over?
It would be awesome if they could put me on the card. But you know, there's tons of other girls that have been waiting in line just as long as I have, and I understand that. So if they can squeeze me in, that would be sweet. And if not, you know, I've had to wait before. I can totally wait, you know, another month to get on another Invicta card. And I know that now that they are with Fight Pass, they're going to be having a lot more fights. So I can be patient.
Now, I'll get you out of here with this. I'm sure you've told this story before, but I wanted to hear it with my own ears here and have some of our audience that maybe haven't heard this story before. But if I ever got you for an interview, I told my co-host Dave Sadler, who wasn't able to join us, I said, if I ever can get Michelle Waterson for an interview, I got to ask her how she got the nickname the Karate Hottie. I feel like just talking to you now and seeing other stuff you've done, I feel like you didn't give yourself that name, but if you can kind of tell a story how that nickname came about, Michelle.
Sure. Well, I grew up doing karate, but when I was a young adult, I worked at Hooters through college, and I did little modeling gigs here and there, and I was actually in the Virgin Islands shooting for a calendar, and I met a man who owned a website called bikini.com, and on his website, he featured, female models, and he themed them. And so he would be, the Crushing Russian or the Sports Fanatic. And, we got to talking, and he found out that I did martial arts, and he said, I would love to feature you on my website, and I think it'd be cool. We'd call you the Karate Hottie. And so I said, yeah, sure. We took some pictures, and it got put on his website. And then my fighting career actually started, and I started taking some. I had my first pro debut card in Colorado, and the promoter asked me if I had a fight name, and I told him no, and he went home and Googled me, and Karate Hottie was the first thing that popped up, and so he used it, and it stuck.
Well, I got to say, it's a great nickname. I think it's one of the best in the sport, in my opinion. So I think it's a great way I think it really helps market yourself, and it fits you perfectly. So I think it turned out for the best for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I do too. I think it's catchy, and it works. I'll take it.
She is the Karate Hottie, as she just mentioned. You can follow her on Twitter at Karate Hottie MMA. Michelle Waterson, the Invicta Atomweight champion. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate the time, and look forward to seeing you fighting again real soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Once again, that was Michelle Waterson right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.